Welcome to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. This channel will help you improve your English skills. Now, let's get started.
You know that feeling where you understand English perfectly well when you hear it, but then when you try to speak, it just doesn't come out right.
Yeah, like the pronunciation's a bit off, or it feels clunky, not smooth.
Exactly. Or you just don't feel confident saying it. Well, today we're looking at a really powerful technique to help with exactly that. And it's actually quite fun and something you can do totally on your own.
We are indeed. We're doing a deep dive into shadowing. It's a method that, honestly, a lot of very successful English learners swear by for boosting their fluency and just sounding more, well, natural.
Shadowing. Okay, it sounds a bit mysterious maybe, like following someone.
Huh. In a way, that's pretty much it. You listen to some English audio.
Like a podcast or something.
Yeah, exactly. Podcast, audiobook, anything really. And you repeat what you hear immediately, like you're their echo.
Ah, okay. An echo.
But crucially, it's not just about repeating the words. It's about trying to mimic everything. The rhythm, the melody, the voice, the pronunciation, how they actually sound.
So if I said, English is fun to learn if you practice every day.
You'd immediately try to say, English is fun to learn if you practice every day, trying to match my exact speed, my intonation, everything.
Got it. So you're copying the sound, not just the text.
Precisely. And you'd be surprised how effective it is. I mean, people who've really nailed fluency, even professional speakers, many of them have used shadowing. Stick with us, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to get started.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive, really get under the hood of shadowing. What is it, really? Why does it actually work? What specific skills does it improve, like pronunciation, fluency?
And importantly, how do you do it right? What kind of audio is best? And, what are the common traps people fall into?
Right. We want you to leave knowing how to use this tool effectively. Ready to give it a go.
Let's start with the basics then. What exactly is shadowing in, formal terms?
Okay, so, formally, shadowing is a language learning technique. You listen to native English speech and you repeat it out loud, word for word, pretty much as you hear it. No pausing the audio, ideally.
Yeah, you're trying to stay right on top of the speaker, like their shadow, or like we said, their echo.
That echo idea really clicks, I think.
It does, because it highlights that you're mimicking how they say it, the pronunciation, the speed, the tone, the ups and downs in their voice.
Right, back to my example. English is fun to learn if you practice every day. A good shadow isn't just saying those words, it's catching the rhythm, how fun to learn kind of flows together where the little stresses are.
Exactly. That's the stuff that makes you sound natural, not robotic.
Okay, so that's the core idea. But you mentioned there are different ways to actually do shadowing.
Yes, there are variations, which is helpful.
Yeah.
The one we've mostly described is immediate repetition. Hear it, say it instantly.
Which sounds intense.
It can be, especially for beginners. But it's fantastic for building that speaking rhythm and improving pronunciation on the fly.
Okay, so what if that's too much? Like trying to jump onto a moving train.
Right. So another way is delayed repetition. This is more manageable starting out. You listen to a whole sentence or maybe just a short phrase.
Then you pause the audio.
You can pause it or just wait for a natural pause in the speech. Then you repeat it. It gives your brain that little extra moment to, process.
Okay, that sounds much less intimidating. Anything else?
Yeah, there's also shadowing with specifically slow audio, using things like podcasts or audiobooks made for English learners where they speak more slowly and clearly.
Ah, so you can really focus on getting the sounds right.
Exactly. It's great for nailing pronunciation details and building that initial confidence without the pressure of speed.
Makes sense. So we know what it is and the different flavors, but the big question, why does this work? What's the magic here? Why is it so effective?
Right. Let's get into the why. The first huge benefit, and maybe the most obvious one, is pronunciation.
Okay. How so?
Well, think about how babies learn to talk. They listen and imitate. Right. They copy the sounds their parents make. Shadowing is basically tapping into that same natural mechanism.
Imitation learning.
Exactly. You're not guessing how a word should sound based on spelling or trying to remember abstract phonetic rules. You're hearing a native speaker produce the sound, the stress, the intonation, and you're immediately trying to replicate it with your own mouth.
So it's very direct feedback for your speech muscles.
Precisely. It trains your mouth to make the right shapes and movements for English sounds. You copy stress patterns, how words link together, all that stuff. That's hard to learn from a book.
Okay, pronunciation boost, Check. What's another major plus?
A really critical one is that it helps you break the habit of translating in your head.
Oh, that's a big one for learners, that constant back and forth.
It really slows you down. You hear English, translate to your language, think of a reply, translate back to English. It's exhausting and makes conversations lag.
Totally. So how does shadowing help?
Because you're forced to process and produce English almost simultaneously. You don't have time to translate. You hear English, you speak English. It trains your brain to operate directly in English.
Like building a direct highway for English in your brain, bypassing the translation detour.
That's a great way to put it. Over time, it leads to much more automatic, faster speaking. Less pausing, less ums and ahs while you search for words.
Fascinating. Okay, so better pronunciation, less translation. What else?
It also improves your listening and speaking skills at the same time. It's super efficient.
How does that work?
Well, to shadow effectively, you have to listen really intensely. You need to catch all the little nuances, the pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation. Otherwise, you can't mimic it. So your listening comprehension gets a serious workout.
Right, you're not just passively hearing, you're actively decoding.
Exactly. And while you're doing that intense listening, you're also physically practicing speaking. You're moving your mouth, using your vocal cords, practicing the flow and melody of English.
So input and output, working together.
Yep. Plus, you get really accustomed to the natural sound and rhythm of conversational English, which helps you understand people better in real life, too.
And I guess actually hearing yourself speak English, even if it's just echoing, must do something for your confidence.
Absolutely. That's the fourth big benefit. Lots of learners feel shy or anxious about speaking. Shadowing is like a safe practice zone.
No judgment.
Exactly. You're not worried about grammar mistakes or saying the wrong thing in a conversation. You're just focusing on the sounds. Hearing your own voice producing English again and again makes it feel less strange, less scary. It builds familiarity and comfort.
So when you do have a real conversation, it feels a bit less daunting.
Precisely. And the beauty of it is, like you said earlier, it's so accessible. You don't need a teacher there. You don't need a partner. Just use some audio and maybe some headphones.
Your own personal speaking coach, available 24/7.
Pretty much.
Okay, this sounds genuinely powerful. So if someone's convinced and wants to try it, how do they actually do it correctly? Let's get practical, step by step.
Right, let's break it down. Step 1, choose the right audio. This is pretty crucial.
What makes it right?
Well, first, it needs to be clear. You need to be able to actually hear the words distinctly. Second, it should ideally be natural-sounding speech, not overly formal or robotic, unless that's specifically what you want to practice. And third, critically, it needs to be at your level.
Meaning not too fast or complex.
Exactly. If it's way too difficult, you'll just get frustrated and give up. You need something you can reasonably keep up with.
Okay, so what kinds of things work well?
Lots of options. Podcasts designed for English learners are often great. Audiobooks can be good, especially if the narrator is clear. News reports, certain YouTube videos.
What about for absolute beginners?
For beginners, definitely look for content that comes with a transcript or subtitles. That helps immensely. Or, as we mentioned, find those slow-speed English podcasts or videos specifically made for learners. They often use simpler vocabulary, too.
Got it. Choose wisely. What's step 2?
Step 2. Listen first. Before you even try to shadow, just listen to the short clip you've chosen, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, all the way through once or twice.
Why? Just to understand it.
Yes, partly for comprehension, but also to get a feel for the speaker's rhythm, their tone, the overall flow. Let your brain absorb it passively first.
Okay, prime the brain, then.
Step 3. Start shadowing. Play the audio again, and this time repeat immediately. Try to speak at the same time as the speaker, or just a fraction of a second behind, like that echo.
And the main goal here is?
Match everything. Pronunciation, speed, rhythm, intonation, highs and lows of the voice, as closely as you possibly can.
What if you mess up or miss a word?
Don't stop. That's really important. Just keep going. Try to jump back in. The goal isn't perfection on the first try. It's maintaining the flow and practice. You'll get better with repetition.
Okay, don't pause. Keep flowing. What if it's just too fast?
Good question. That brings us to step 4. Adjust the speed if needed. Most audio players on YouTube, podcast apps, even some audiobook players let you slow down the playback speed.
Like setting it to 0.75x speed.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to do that. Slowing it down makes it much easier to keep up, especially when you're starting. You can really focus on the sounds. Then, as you get comfortable, you can gradually increase the speed back to normal.
Smart. Build up gradually. What's next?
Step 5. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Don't just shadow a clip once and move on. Practice the same short audio clip multiple times.
Why the repetition?
Each time you do it, you'll notice you understand more. Your pronunciation gets a little closer, the rhythm feels more natural. Repeating the same passage, maybe even over a few days, really helps embed those patterns. You'll start to sound much more confident on that specific piece.
Okay, repetition is key. Is there a final step?
Yes, a really valuable one. Step 6, record yourself.
Oh, the dreaded recording.
I know nobody likes hearing their own voice, but it's incredibly useful here. Record yourself shadowing the clip and then listen back. Compare your version to the original speaker.
What should you listen for?
Listen for differences. Is your pronunciation off on certain words? Is your rhythm flat compared to theirs? Are you stressing the wrong syllables? It helps you pinpoint exactly where you need to improve.
Okay, so identify the gaps and practice those specific bits.
Exactly. It provides crucial feedback that you just can't get otherwise when practicing alone.
That's a really clear process. Choose audio, listen, shadow, adjust speed, repeat, record. Makes sense. Now, you mentioned different types of audio. Could we dive a bit deeper into what content works best?
Sure. Let's talk materials. Podcasts specifically for English learners are often a great starting point.
Why them?
They usually feature clear pronunciation, often slower speech, maybe natural conversations about everyday topics, and sometimes exposure to different accents in a controlled way. Think of things like the British Council podcasts, BBC Learning English has tons of stuff, VOA Learning English. There are many.
So they're designed for this kind of practice.
Pretty much. Next up, audiobooks.
Like listening to a story.
Exactly. Narrators usually have very clear professional pronunciation and intonation because they're telling a story. This can be great for practicing flow and expression.
Any tips for using audiobooks?
Yeah, if you can, get the ebook version too. Reading along while you listen first can help, and then you can focus purely on shadowing. For beginners, maybe start with simpler books. Children's or young adult novels often have clearer language, maybe something like The Little Prince or Charlotte's Web.
Good idea. What about online stuff like YouTube?
YouTube is a goldmine, but you need to be a bit selective. The advantage is the huge variety: interviews, lessons, presentations, even just vloggers chatting.
What's the key thing to look for on YouTube?
Accurate subtitles or captions are really helpful, especially when you're starting, so you can follow along visually if needed. Look for channels dedicated to language learning, like BBC Learning English Again, or TED Talks. They often have very clear speakers and transcripts. Some channels focus specifically on conversational practice.
Okay, so YouTube's good if you find the right content with captions. What about movies or TV shows? Is that too hard?
It can be more challenging, yeah. It's definitely for more intermediate or advanced learners, generally.
Why is that?
Because the dialogue is fast, actors might mumble, there's background noise, lots of slang and idioms. It's very natural, but harder to follow precisely.
But the benefit would be learning really natural conversation.
Exactly. You pick up real-life expressions, different accents, the rhythm of casual chat. If you want to try it, maybe start with shows known for clearer dialogue, like perhaps Friends, or movies where speech is central, like The King's Speech. And remember, you can often slow down playback speed on streaming services too.
Good point. So the overall advice is?
Find something that's clear enough, at the right level for you, and importantly, something you actually find interesting. If you're bored by the content, you won't stick with the practice.
Makes total sense. Find your level, find your interest. Now, even with the right content and method, people probably make mistakes, right? What are the common pitfalls to avoid when shadowing?
Oh, absolutely. Let's cover those, because avoiding them makes the practice much more effective. Mistake number 1, speaking too fast without understanding.
Just rushing to keep up.
Yeah. Some people focus so much on matching the speed that they're just parroting sounds without actually connecting them to meaning. That doesn't really help you learn to use the language.
So the solution is?
Listen first for comprehension, like we said in the steps. Make sure you have a basic grasp of what's being said. And if it's too fast to understand and repeat, slow it down. Understanding first, then mimicry.
Okay, don't just mimic noises. What's another common error?
Mumbling instead of speaking clearly.
Because you're trying to go fast, maybe you don't articulate properly.
Exactly. Or maybe you feel a bit self-conscious. People might not open their mouths enough, or they slur words together indistinctly. The goal is clear pronunciation, mimicking the clarity of the speaker too.
How do you fix that?
Recording yourself is key here. Listen back, are you mumbling? If so, consciously practice opening your mouth more, enunciating each word, maybe even shadowing more slowly at first to build that habit of clear speech.
Right, clarity over speed, especially initially. Mistake number 3.
Skipping difficult words.
Just glossing over the ones you don't know or can't pronounce.
Yep. It's tempting to just mumble past them and keep up with the flow. But those difficult words are often the ones you most need to practice.
So what should you do instead?
When you hit a word you struggle with, do pause briefly. Look it up if you don't know it. Check its pronunciation. Say it slowly by itself a few times, maybe break it into syllables. Then try shadowing that part of the sentence again. Don't just ignore the tricky bits.
Tackle the challenges head on.
Okay.
What else?
Mistake number 4. Sounding flat or robotic.
Meaning you copy the words, but not the music.
Precisely. You repeat the text, but you miss the intonation, the stress, the rhythm, the things that make English sound natural and expressive. Your shadowing ends up sounding monotone.
How can people work on that?
Pay active attention to the speaker's pitch. When does their voice go up? When does it go down? Try to exaggerate the imitation of their intonation at first. Some people even find it helpful to use hand gestures, like moving their hand up and down with the speaker's voice to physically feel the melody.
Interesting tip, like conducting your own voice. Okay, final common mistake.
This might be the biggest one. Giving up too soon.
Impatience, expecting instant results.
Yeah. Shadowing feels awkward at first. You will stumble, you will miss words, you won't sound perfect immediately. Some people try it for a day or two, don't see miraculous improvement, and just quit.
But progress takes time, right?
Absolutely. Like any skill, it requires consistent practice. You have to be patient with yourself. Celebrate small improvements. Keep track of your progress, maybe by recording yourself periodically. Improvement will happen, but it's gradual. Don't get discouraged.
That's crucial advice. Consistency and patience. So to help people get started and stick with it, maybe we could suggest a little challenge.
Great idea. How about a 7-day shadowing challenge?
Okay, I like it. What would that involve?
Super simple. Just commit to shadowing for, say, 5 to 10 minutes every single day for 1 week.
That sounds manageable. What are the steps for the challenge?
Okay, day 1. Choose a short piece of audio, maybe a minute long. Something interesting to you could be a podcast clip, a bit of an audiobook, a YouTube snippet.
Step 1, find your clip.
Step 2, listen to it once or twice just to understand the gist and the flow.
Step 3, start shadowing. Repeat it a few times, trying to match the speaker's pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation as best you can. Slow it down if you need to.
Step 4, and this is key for the challenge. Record yourself shadowing on day 1. Don't judge it, just save it.
Okay, baseline recording. Then what?
Then just do your 5-10 minutes of shadowing practice with that same clip, or maybe another short one, every day for the next 6 days. Focus on those areas you want to improve.
And on day 7?
On day 7, record yourself shadowing that original clip again. Then, compare your day 7 recording to your day 1 recording.
So you can actually hear the progress.
Exactly. Even in just 1 week of consistent practice, you'll likely notice improvements in your smoothness, your pronunciation, maybe your confidence. It's really motivating.
That's a fantastic practical challenge. We should encourage listeners to try it. Maybe they can even let us know how it goes.
Definitely. Share your experience maybe in comments if there's a place, or just tell a friend. It helps to commit publicly sometimes.
Absolutely. And just some final tips to keep in mind for effective shadowing long term.
Yeah, 3 key things, really. First, be patient. We mentioned it, but it's crucial. Fluency doesn't happen overnight. Every little session helps, even if it doesn't feel like it.
Patience is a virtue. Second,
Practice daily. Consistency is far more effective than one long session once a week. Even just 5 minutes a day builds the habit and keeps the pathways in your brain active.
little and often. And third,
Have fun. Use content you genuinely enjoy listening to. If it feels like a chore, you won't stick with it. Find podcasts, speeches, movie scenes, whatever engages you.
great advice. Patience, consistency, and enjoyment.
If you keep those in mind, every shadowing session really is bringing you 1 step closer to sounding more natural and fluent in English. Believe in the process.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, the main takeaway really seems to be that shadowing, while it might feel a bit strange at first, is a genuinely powerful and accessible tool.
Absolutely. If you practice it regularly and correctly, paying attention not just to words, but to sound, rhythm, and intonation, it can significantly boost your pronunciation, your listening skills, your overall fluency, and importantly, your confidence in speaking English.
And we really encourage you to take on that 7-day shadowing challenge. Just 5-10 minutes a day. Record yourself at the start and end, see the difference for yourself.
Give it a try, you might be surprised.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into shadowing. We hope you found it useful. If you did, maybe share it with other English learners you know who might benefit.
And do subscribe if you want more tips and discussions on language learning. Let us know if you try the challenge.
Keep practicing, stay patient, and happy learning. That consistent effort with shadowing really can make a difference.